As a beginner piano student, you have to rely on your teacher or videos like the ones in this beginner series to know what to play, to see, and hear. And it's a great start, but it can start to feel a little limiting when you want to use that information in other ways. In our beginner series here on this channel, we've been playing with some really great combinations of major and minor chords, and it feels pretty amazing to be able to put those together and create music, right? In this video, what I'm going to do is go into the theory just a little bit on how to create major and minor chords so that you can take what you've already been learning, combine it with this video, and then continue making music on your own. If we haven't met before, I'm Rosemarie Penner from Must Love Music. I help make learning piano fun, easy, and interactive, with creative ideas and resources to make sure that there's some smiles along the way. Now, after decades of teaching, I know that jumping into music theory right off the bat is probably one of the easiest ways to get students to quit. So that's why in this beginner series, you'll notice we haven't talked a lot about this. Now we're ready. We're ready to add that next layer to our major and minor chords that we've already been exploring. Now, if at any time you feel like this information is overwhelming, I highly recommend go back to previous videos, explore them, and then come back to this when you're ready. One of the first things we're going to talk about is half steps and whole steps. These are called different things in different parts of the world, but we just need to make sure that you and I were talking the same language. So just hang in here while I kind of demonstrate what each of these is on the piano and how we're going to be using them and what on earth they have to do with chords. So up until now, I have let you know, this is a C major chord. How we find those notes, it's a little bit different. I'm going to use these lovely little buttons that I made years and years and years ago to kind of show you what's going on here. So let's start with C. We've spent a lot of time with C. Here we have this note, and how do we find half steps and whole steps around this? If I go up one half step, I'm going to the very, very next note. You might think, oh, it's this one right here. It's not. Notice that this black key is actually a little bit closer to it. If I want to go lower or to the left of the C, then my very next note is a white key. And so these yellow ones right here, this is C. If I go up, I've got this black key. And if I go down, I have this black key. This is really important. These half steps, or sometimes they're called semitones in other parts of the world, we're going to figure out whole steps. Whole steps are, or whole tones in other parts of the world. What we do is we go two half steps. So we're going to go from C, we're going to go up a half step, up a half step to D. If we're going down or to the left, I'm going to go from C, half a step, so that's this white key right here, and one more half step over to this black key here. And so regardless of what note you start on, it's all about those half steps, semitones, or whole steps, whole tones. We're going to focus on the half steps for the chords today. Why would I explain this to you? Well, a lot of students don't realize that the black keys are there for more than this is where you find C or this is where you find A. We actually play those notes quite a lot in piano, and understanding half steps and whole steps really helps us be able to talk with other musicians, but also understand the notes in relation to the other ones. For the purposes of this video, to be able to put together and create major and minor chords, we're going to be focusing on those half steps, like I said, or semitones. Depending on what part of the world you're in, you're going to hear one of those more than the other. In order to figure out chords, we're going to use a particular method that involves counting how many half steps, semitones, you have. So for major chords, we have our home note. This is the same note as the chord name. So for example, C major, our home note is going to be C. We have a middle note, the one that's in the middle, and the top note. In music, we always think of the lowest note first, and then we work our way up. And on the piano, up means we're moving right. The reason that we do this is it allows everybody to know not only what chord we're playing, but what order those notes are being played. So here we have our home, middle, and top. And we have to figure out how many half steps there are between our home note and middle note, and then our middle note and our top note. This is different for major and minor chords, and it leads to the big small method for major chords and small big method for minor chords. What this looks like is we are going to end up counting 4 half steps and then 3 half steps for our major chords. So, all right, so going back to our C major chord, what we're going to do is count up 4 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is our middle note, right? So we've got C and E, and then we're going to, that's the big part, so 4 half steps, and then from here, our E, we're going to count up another 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3, and that takes us to G. So when we put this together, we have a C major chord. What I'd like you to do is make sure that you play that on your piano and take a moment, really pay attention to 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our big in the equation, and then small, 1, 2, 3, and that takes us to C major. If you need to, pause the video. Otherwise, what I'd like you to do is figure that out in your left hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then our small 1, 2, 3. So we've got a C major chord. When you play these, really focus on not only what it sounds like, but what it feels like. Going back to our right hand, I want you to go to F. Okay, F major also has a similar hand shape. So if we figure it out, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our big, and then 1, 2, 3. There's our F major chord, F, A, and C. And notice it feels very similar to that C major. For G major, so G on the bottom, what I'd like you to do is figure out that chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you got your big part of the equation, and then 1, 2, 3. Now notice C, F, and G, they all feel very, very similar. If you want to, go ahead and pause the video. I recommend always play chords in your right hand and then also play them in your left hand. As you go through music, you will be playing the chords in either hand, so it's a good strategy to start off with that right off the bat. The next one we're going to do is D major. Let's start with our left hand this time. We're going to follow exactly the same big, small method. So we count 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice we're on a black key this time. So we've got D, and this is called an F sharp. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've got D major. There are some chords that have a similar hand shape. E is one of them. So again, when we do this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So play D major, then E major. Notice it felt very, very similar, and it's because we've got a black key in the middle there. Move your hand up to A. So that's just in between the top 2 of our black keys here, our 3 black key group. And if I keep that same hand shape, I didn't even need to do the math, right? I didn't need a count, but we can check. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. 1, 2, 3. So So notice that, again, D, E, A. These all have similar hand shapes. So far we've covered actually almost all of the white key major chords, and I'll explain that in a moment. But the last one we haven't done, we've done C, D, E, F, G, A. We haven't done B, and there's a reason for this. B major has its own hand shape. It is a unique one. So let's do the math on this one. We're going to count up 4 half steps or semitones. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, that feels different, right? And that's because we have 2 black keys up at the top of this chord, and so it's going to feel a little different. You may also find that your hand naturally needs to move a little further away from you in order to reach those black keys, and that is totally fine. Okay? And there it is in the left hand. Now there's other chords, as I mentioned, that I have a home note on black keys, but we're going to save that for later because there's some terminology that I need to teach you if we're going to do that. What I'd like you to do is pause this video in order to do these in order from C through B major, and really focus on how your hand feels and how these sound. They should all sound quite similar. I'll do an example with my left hand here. So C major, D major, E major, F major, G major, A major, and B major. Do you hear how those all, while they are different, they do sound fairly similar? And go ahead, pause the video, do that for your left hand, and then also your right hand, and go as slow as you need to. How can we create minor chords? Well, we're going to use a very similar method. It's actually the same method, but the numbers are slightly different. So when we did our major chords, remember that we had 4 half steps and 3 half steps, right? So we had a big and then a small. For minor chords, this is actually exactly the opposite. So now we're going to have 3 half steps on the bottom and 4 half steps on the top. Okay. So once again, we're going to start with C major, C minor this time. We're going to do our small big method. So tonic or home note, it's the same note and name as the chord. So C major starts on C. And then we're going to skip up 3 half notes or semitones. So 1, 2, 3. And then our big in this method is 1, 2, 3, 4. Sounds a little different, right? What I'd like you to do is play that in your right hand, then play it in your left hand, and then come back to the video. Just like our major chords, we have similar hand shapes, and actually it's exactly the same ones. So just like C major, F major, and G major all had the same hand shape, well now in the minor chords, it's also going to be the same. So let's start with our left hand on this one. So we've got C minor. Let's find F minor. I'm already actually in position. Notice that I want to put my finger on this black key if I'm keeping the same hand shape. So F on the bottom, let's count up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3, and then we need our big 1, 2, 3, 4. If you haven't noticed already, when I'm counting these, I'm not counting the note that I'm playing on the bottom. I'm going 1, 2, 3. The one that I count at the end is the one I'm playing, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so again, I didn't count from this black key, but I went 1, 2, 3, 4. This will help you out a lot later when we're doing some other things in terms of intervals. But we've got F minor here, and then G minor. So again, keeping that same hand shape, if we move up to our G, and you can double check this on your own, but we've got G minor. Go ahead and pause the video, play C, C minor, F minor, and G minor in both hands, then come back. So as you may have guessed, D minor has a little bit of a different feel to it. We're going to start with our right hand this time. So let's start off with our small 1, 2, 3, and then our big 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got our D minor. And just like before, we have some similar hand shapes. If I go to E minor, so 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got our E minor, and A minor is the last one that has the same hand shape. And this is for either hand. And what we want to do is always focus on how it feels, but then also how it sounds. So D minor, E minor, and A minor. Go ahead and pause the video so that you can practice that in both hands, then come back and I will show you B minor. So B minor, again, it's its own unique snowflake. If we start on B, let's do small, 1, 2, 3, and then the big, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice again, we've got a black key at the top. It's a little bit different, and so it's going to feel different. You also may find, again, you need to move your hand a little bit further away from you, more onto the keys in order to play that top note. Before moving on to the next section, what I'd like you to do, same activity we did before, same exercise. I'd like you to play C minor through to B minor. So it sounds a little like this. And if you want a challenge, you can go back down as well. This will be really great practice for making sure that these are really solid under your fingers. So now that you know major and minor chords, you might think, oh, we are done. Not quite. The best thing that you can do is really train your ears when you're learning piano. And also really focus on how things feel under your fingers. It's a shortcut, so think of it as instead of sounding out every letter in the word cat, eventually you just look at the word cat and you know that's what it is. And we're trying to get you to that second part much faster. So again, just make sure you're really focusing on how it sounds and how it feels. We have 2 more exercises. One is orally, meaning we're listening, and you're going to be practicing moving from major to minor. I'm going to show you a little trick that if you're playing a chord and you want to quickly change it to either major or minor, that you can do that very quickly. All right, so let's start off with our C major chord again. We'll start with left hand this time. Now, if I want to make this minor, I could do the small, big method, or I could look at this and go, all I have to do is move down the middle note, move it down or move it to the left 1/2 step. So notice C major, I'm going to move that middle note down, and now all of a sudden I've got that black key. You can do this with any of the chords. To practice this, what we're going to do is we're going to go 1, hold, minor, hold, move up, major, minor, hold, minor, hold, F major, major, minor, major, minor, It may take some time, and you might need to watch this video a few times to be able to get to the point where you can move between major and minor really easily. Again, you're focusing on the feel, but also how it sounds. And this is a really great way of training your ears that when you hear a chord, you're going to be able to hear, is it major or is it minor? And our last exercise, so once you are really comfortable playing those major and minor chords, you can move from one to the next, then let's do a little improvising. So we're going to take a chord progression or a series of chords that we used in putting major and minor chords together part 1 video. If you haven't seen that video, you know I'm going to tell you, hey, go back and watch it. But here's the chord progression. It is C major, G major, A minor, F. Okay, so again, let's do that together. C, G, A, F. And I can add some notes, C, D, E, on the bottom. Want to end on C. Go ahead and improvise a little bit with that, then come back to the video and I'm going to show you how you can change this up just a little bit. So if you've had a chance to play around with the chords and you know that I'm going to switch things up, first of all, I'm going to play chords in my left hand this time and then make a little melody on my right. And I'm playing C, and then I'm going to skip this C and play up here for my melody just to make sure. So quick review, C major, G major, A minor, and then F major. What if I want to change it up and I want to make some of those minor, or I want to change it from major to minor or minor to major? I'm going to play C major. Instead of playing G major, I'm going to try G minor. Oh, that sounds pretty cool, right? I'll keep the A minor as it was and then go back F major. Let's go F minor. So what does this sound like? And again, I really want to end on that C chord, and that's because it's our home chord. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is take that chord progression or a series of chords, C, G, A minor, F, and change it up. See which chords you want to make major, see which ones you want to make minor. Maybe you start on C minor. And then try and play a melody over top of it. Hopefully you really enjoyed improvising a little bit with a chord progression and changing it up so that you're creating something uniquely you. But what's next? You've gone through this video, you've done the exercises. Well, once you're able to easily play the chords that we've gone through, so all of the C through B major and C minor through B minor chords, and you're able to change them up, that you're able to play them in any order, then I would recommend go back to some of those previous videos, find the chord progressions, those chord series that we used, just like we did in this video, and then switch them up. Try maybe making some of those major chords minor, make some of the minor chords major. This is a really great way of just getting a head start on, you have a framework and then you can use it to help you out. If this video was useful, if you found it helpful, please consider subscribing. It lets you know whenever the next videos come out, and you will want to know what those are because in a later video, I'm going to be adding in chords that we haven't done yet. So the ones that have a home note on black keys, because we haven't used those terms yet for describing those, that's going to be in another video. And then also we're going to be looking at playing chords in various ways on the piano. So taking this home chord idea where they're a certain distance apart and then being able to play them in different ways. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments, did you like this big, small method and small, big method for figuring out major and minor chords?